What's up, guys? My name is Gabe, and welcome back to the Trojan Blade. Welcome back to a brand new video. This is episode 41 of the viewer comment series. The series where, of course, you guys, the viewers, send in your comments and questions here on YouTube. Every single Monday or Tuesday, I know I've been a little wishy-washy with which day, but one of those days, the call for comments is going to go up on my community page. You'll see it, click on it, comment, and you do have a chance to be featured, and your question will be answered live on the show. So we got an absolute boatload of submissions this week, so let's not waste any more time. If you guys are enjoying the videos, please do leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. But before we do get into it, I gotta shout out today's video sponsor, Underdog. Underdog Fantasy is your one-stop shop for daily fantasy sports. It's by far the most fun and the easiest platform to use for daily fantasy sports. All you gotta do is go on, use my code BLADE, play $5, and you will get $75 in bonus entries. That can get you a long way, and you can have a ton of fun with that. And to play, it's super simple. You just go through, you pick your lineups, you pick your players. Using stat projections, you're going to select more or less, depending on which stat it is, and then you build your lineup like that. We got a big NFL Sunday coming up, and as you guys know, I am a Cleveland Browns fan. Pray for me. But we may have a quarterback on our hands, or we may not. I'm not sure yet. We'll see. I don't really get hopeful with the Browns. But we have Shedeur Sanders at Caleb Williams and the Bears this week. Going to be a negative 20 wind chill. Absolutely crazy. So I do have Shedeur to have fewer than 31.5 passing attempts. I have him to throw an interception or more. And I also picked him to have more than 185.5 passing yards because he's going to throw that ball downfield. And then sliding over to Seahawks Colts, I got our boy Sammy Darnold to have more than 231.5 passing yards. And I also happen to throw for more than 1.5 passing touchdowns. Going to be a big day for Sam. And again, guys, just sign up using my code BLADE, play those $5, get your $75 in bonus entries, use this lineup I made, use your own. Whatever you got to do, I respect it. And as always, thank you so much, Underdog, for sponsoring the video. Now let's get into the comments. First up today from Bob Springer, what is the top priority in the transfer portal? Also, do you have anything to say about USCJ's departure from the SC podcast world? Yeah, so starting with the USCJ stuff, I mean, it's sad. He was a massive part of our space. Jay and I have gone head-to-head for a long time. There's always been healthy competition there. People try to make it more than what it actually is. Shocker, people on the internet who don't have all the information jump to conclusions. Whoever would have thought that could happen? But no, contrary to popular belief, Jay and I are cool, and he's doing what he feels is best for him and his family. So I got nothing but respect for that, and I'm wishing him the absolute best in whatever he does in life. Jay and I were the first two people in the USC YouTube space to kind of just do our own thing. You know, like not a part of a brand or anything bigger than that, just us marketing ourselves. So we'll always be tied and linked in some ways. And yeah, he had a hell of a run, built a very strong following, and wish him absolutely nothing but the best as he goes into this new chapter. But in terms of the transfer portal, I mean, linebacker and wide receiver have to be at the top. I want a new starting mic for next year. I really do. And depending on the development that Tanook can take, he can be a number one. He absolutely can. But he's not proven to be a number one, so you are taking a risk there. But as we saw with Dorian Singer coming over from Arizona, anytime you take a player in the portal, it's a risk. There's guys like Caleb Williams that are essentially a slam dunk, but you never really know. But yeah, to answer your question, the top priority, I guess, on each side of the ball, a wide receiver and a Mike linebacker. Next up from CJack11, he says, Lincoln has implied that Maiava will be preparing for the bowl game in his recent bowl interview. Do you classify this as a greater than 50% chance he comes back next season? I wouldn't say greater than 50%. Actually, you know what? I think I would. I think I'm going to say 60-40 that he comes back right now. But I'm telling you guys, does Jaden have some deficiencies in his game? Absolutely. But is the NFL going to look at him and his body of work and his tools and fall in love with him? I also think that they might do that as well. I mean, let's take the fact that we've watched every single snap he's played for the last 2 years out of it. What is he on paper? He's a 6'4", 235-pound mobile quarterback with a rocket launcher for a right arm. He can play within the pocket. He can do all the things we've seen when we watch him. I mean, that's a very appealing skill set to NFL teams. Remember that Deshaun Kaiser went in the second round, unfortunately, to my Cleveland Browns. I think he could absolutely be a second-round pick. Hell, maybe even sneak into the back of the first round. You never know with quarterbacks. If Trey Lance can go number 2 overall, then Jaden certainly could be a back end of the first round pick. So we just need to wait and see on that. Thanks for the question, C-Jack. Next up from Harlow Sharp, and thank you for being a member. He says, with the lack of success at linebacker and Lincoln Riley holding on to, quote, friends too long, what chance does USC have of replacing the failed experiment of Rob Ryan? Yeah, that's definitely one I would like to see swapped out for sure. It seems like we're building a very NFL vibe kind of team right now and just program overall. With the way we're doing stuff on social media, saying that we're on the clock. We have a very NFL style front office. And not to mention, you have Coach Henne coming in from the Rams. LA is a pro town, so it makes sense to market it in that way. And if you want to increase your linebacker recruiting, there's no better way to do that than to go and get a proven NFL coach. Because if you're a kid sitting in a living room and the guy sitting across from you is, I don't know, the coach for the Eagles formerly, or something like that, that just brings with it a bunch of credibility and just another way to sell yourself as a product, as a university, and as a program. So I would like to go the NFL route, but one thing I think we can all agree on is that we just need a different linebacker coach next year. Next up from Sir Eric of Troy. Thank you, Eric, for being a member over on Patreon. He says, I'm a bit concerned about D'Anton Lynn having a bunch of young players. To me, he does not seem to scheme well unless he has upperclassmen to work with. Do you think he can be more of a developer with this young incoming class than he has been in the past? Well, just a little caveat there. I don't think he's been here long enough to truly develop the young guys. And I get accused all the time of carrying water for D'Anton Lynn. That's not what I'm doing here. But guys, he's only been here 2 years. And what I think we saw this year, look at guys like Floyd Boucard, Jakeem Stewart, Marcellus Williams, Alex Graham. Those young guys played some pretty good football at various points throughout this season. You know, they have a saying, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. When you have a guy like a Keyshawn Silver, when you have a guy like Devin Tompkins playing inside when he's just not big enough, there are things that can be done next year just to have better players on the field. And I don't think it's truly a developmental issue on the defensive side. What I will say is he doesn't seem to maximize his players. Like on the offensive side of the ball, look what Lincoln Riley got out of Taj Washington, Brendan Rice. I know that had a lot to do with Caleb as well, but in his time at USC, a guy like Kyron Hudson, that's the perfect example I was looking for. Look at what he got out of him, not only with Caleb, but with Miller Moss and Jade Maiava at the tail end of last season. We don't see that on the defensive side, right? Like Alex Grinch, man, he had his problems, but in 2022, look at what he got out of a guy like Solomon Byrd, Tyrone Tellini, guys like that. So I think he can do a better job of pulling more out of players, but in terms of development and the younger guys, I think he's actually done a pretty good job. Next up from M Under Family, he says, in your opinion, does our defensive talent match up with the talent of the playoff teams? If so, is it a scheme issue that doesn't work against elite teams? Well, when you say playoff teams, that's such a wide range of teams. Like, are we talking about Ohio State or James Madison? Because JMU, yeah, we match up very well against them defensively, talent-wise. But when you look at Ohio State or Georgia or Oregon or Indiana, can't believe I'm saying that about Indiana, but no, I don't think we do. But what you do see is you see the ground root starting to take place. A guy like Jakeem Stewart is a high-end first-round pick. That's what he is. Floyd Boucard is extremely talented. Alex Graham, same as that. Like, we have some dudes on this team, and that's not even counting the class we have coming in. Are we currently at that high end of defensive talent? No, we are not, but we're on our way. If we can just maintain, if we can just find a way to sneak into the playoff this next year, Lincoln keeps his job, everybody's feeling good about what's going on, we get another portal haul, another recruiting class, and we're cooking with gas, right? But if you just look at our defense this year, just physically, I know they put on a lot of weight and all this stuff, that doesn't really matter. You see the natural size that the guys on the Buckeyes have, or the guys on the Georgia Bulldogs have. It's just a different level. We're not there yet. But that doesn't mean we're never going to be. And I think we're closer than a lot of people actually think. Look at me sounding exactly like Lincoln Riley saying we're close. Anyways, next question comes from Austin, who says, what are the odds the Browns draft Lemon? I'm rooting for it. Dude, you have no idea how much I'll flip if this happens. I've been talking about it all year. My channel was not big and I was just not good at this whole YouTube thing back in 2022. So you guys have never really seen me in like a full happy crash out, because those exist too. It's not just me being angry. Sometimes I'm actually in a good mood, believe it or not. If this happens, I'm going to be losing my mind, pure joy. And yeah, we got to make that happen, man. Next up from K Pilmatic, he says, do you think it might be time to switch from our partnership with Nike and find a brand that will push us as their premier college brand? Well, I'm coming at this from two angles. First, I'm extremely biased. I only wear Nike. When you guys see me in San Antonio, I'll likely be in my Air Force Ones. Like, that's just what I wear. So I love Nike. I never want to leave Nike. I know the Oregon thing, evil empire, gross. I get it. But Nike's the best shoe brand out there. Fight me. As for the part about pushing us as the premier college brand, again, this might sound completely arrogant, and I guess it is. I don't think we need to rely on brands pushing us out there, like as their premier brand or whatever. I know that sounds entitled and very 2004 of me, but at the end of the day, we are USC. As the first ballot Hall of Fame coach Deshaun Foster said, we are in Los Angeles. Never has a truer sentence been spoken. What a wise man he is. Brilliant, actually. Some call him UCLA's finest. I am among those people. Anyways, sorry, I had to get a shot in at the Bruins there. But yeah, no, I'm not worried about our brand pushing us out there as that premier brand. I think if we win, we can do that ourselves. Nike's the best brand. They make the best uniforms. Stay with Nike. If we ever go to Adidas, I'm going to get physically sick. They are cheap and hideous uniforms. I'm very big on uniforms, jerseys, helmets, all that. Adidas has really short and tight sleeves that drive me crazy. Hate them, think they're hideous. So yeah, please stay with Nike. Or Jordan, I guess, if you want to switch it up. Lincoln's always in his Jordan gear. So sure, we can do that, but nothing outside of that realm. Next up, from Jason Brickman, 8065, he says, do you think Lincoln will hire a real special teams coach? That's a phenomenal question that I wish I had the answer to. I wish I could give you all some comfort and say that he's going to. But at this stage, with how strongly Lincoln has spoken about the whole special teams thing, I think we should just believe it when we see it. I know that might be a little disheartening because we obviously need a special teams coach. In the Big Ten, with how close these games are, special teams plays a huge role. As we saw this year, it cost us the game in South Bend. It cost us the game in Eugene. Now, do we win those games for sure if special teams is just a net neutral? We don't know, but special teams never gave us a chance. That's the problem. So, Jason, I'm sorry that I don't have a good answer. I hope so. Common sense would say, how could he not? But Lincoln Riley, like many college head coaches, is incredibly stubborn. So we'll see about that. Next up from Arton, he says, does Lemon deserve the Blitnikoff? 100%. Not even a discussion. He is the best wide receiver in the country. All right, maybe we can have a discussion. Lemon's stats are better than Jeremiah Smith's. If we don't have Mekhi Lemon, we lose 2 or 3 more games this year. Maybe 2 games. I don't know about 3, actually. But he 100% deserves the award. The fact that the Big Ten gave the Wide Receiver of the Year award to Jeremiah Smith is disgusting. And again, it's not because he's not an incredible player, because we all know he is. But Mekhi Lemon has better stats in every single category. It's a farce if we're being honest. Now, the question of does he deserve to win and is he going to win are completely different. He does deserve it. Are the voters going to give it to him? I don't think so. I'd be happily stunned if they did, but just based on what the Big Ten did, I'm not feeling good about it. Next up from Chef Zay, he says, I know we're still waiting on our schedule to be finalized. What school do you think we will pick up to play? And hypothetically, how would you feel about a USC versus Gamecocks matchup for the battle for the USC name? And if UCLA does move to SoFi, do you think that would be a good game atmosphere next year when we play them there? The thought of a football game between the fan bases of USC and South Carolina, the Trojan Gamecock jokes would write themselves. It would be toxic, it would be hostile, and it would be completely awesome. Sign me up for that. I would love that. Realistically, what school? I could be wrong. I believe Stanford has an opening. Sign me up for that in a heartbeat. I would love to play Stanford and or Cal every year and alternate. So give me Stanford, give me Cal. If not them, San Diego State, Washington State, someone like that. Let's stay on the West Coast. As for the UCLA move to SoFi, do I think it'll be a good game atmosphere? It won't be because of their fans, I'll tell you that. But I think it could be cool. But man, that game has to be played at the Rose Bowl, if we're being honest. SoFi is cool, but it's not the Rose Bowl. And USC, UCLA needs to be played in the Coliseum or the Rose Bowl like it always has been. Or let's just play it in the Coliseum every year. They don't deserve a home game anyway. We have another schedule question here from Adam Ward. Adam, thank you for being a member. He says, should USC continue playing Notre Dame? We likely would have made the playoffs this year if we replaced that with the Mountain West team. You can only lose 2 games to make the playoffs, so what is the point? Next year will be brutal if we have to play them in Oregon, Ohio State, and Indiana. I love the tradition, but I like making the playoffs more. So I've been extremely staunch on this. I have not wanted to drop this game. I want to keep the tradition. I just want to keep this rivalry going. But in all honesty, with how Notre Dame has acted over the last week, their athletic director, Marcus Freeman, they've been babies, they've been children, and they took away an opportunity for those members of the marching band, for the cheerleaders, for the seniors. They took that away from everyone to have one more final game because they're being children, taking their ball, going home, crying to mommy, all that stuff. And that makes me sick. I mean, they make me sick in general. This just takes it to a different level where I lost respect for them. I've always respected them, always. Their history, the stadium, all of it. But that's completely gone now. I'm ready to drop them fully. I don't care if we ever play them again. Honestly, I'm just sick of them. I'm sick of being associated with them, and I'm sick of us helping them out. We didn't only hurt ourselves by playing them this year, but we helped them. If they didn't have us on the schedule, they would have had no case for the playoff. So I'm over it too, Adam, and definitely want to move forward. And like you said, play a Mountain West team. Let's play New Mexico or Northern Illinois now that they're going to be a Mountain West team. Something like that. And lastly here, we have YouTube fan 1770 who says, you say that you follow USC players that you like when they transfer. Who are some of your favorites that have left us the last few years? And how are they doing now? And then we have Chainsaw6929 who says, any comment on the amount of former SC players that made it on all conference selections? Rayleigh Brown, Michael Trigg, Romello Height, Pregnon, Deuce, Bear. I'm sure there's more. How do we keep our talent, or is this just the world we live in now? I'd be curious if other schools have as many former players on all conference teams. So just going off of your list, Rayleigh Brown, he had some maturing to do. I heard a lot about what was going on during that time. After the fact, I heard about it. And he had to transfer for himself. He just did. Romello Height's a guy that had to leave as well. He wasn't going to be developed by USC and Alex Grinch. He had injuries. He went to Georgia Tech, got developed some. Now he's at Texas Tech and is an all-conference player. So happy for him. Deuce wanted to be a featured wideout. He didn't want to be wide receiver 3, which is what he would have been here. Now, could he have had a big year here? Absolutely. Was he going to be north of 1,000 yards like he was at FSU? No. Bear, I don't care if he's first team all conference. I'm glad that guy isn't a USC Trojan anymore for a variety of reasons. Pregnon's the only one that sucks. That one just, you wish you had Chad Bowden in the house a few weeks earlier because he could have prevented that from happening. That one's brutal, but all the other ones had to happen. Like when you see these players go, was Rayleigh Brown going to be an all-conference player at USC? Probably not. But at ASU, he's the featured guy. Some of these guys have to go down a level or just to a different school to really shine and succeed. But outside of Bear and Pregnon, I'm happy for all these guys. I'm happy to see Michael Trigg playing well at Baylor. Was always a Romello Height fan. Deuce is such a good dude. So yeah, very happy for them. One that I'll throw in there that I'm sad about, I guess, is Malachi Nelson. That shoulder injury he suffered his senior year at Los Al, that just changed him, man. Super, super sad. Did he have the right mentality and head on his shoulders when he got to USC? Probably not, but still think he could have been something very special had he not gotten hurt. So sad for him. And guys, that is all we have time for this week. Again, we got a bunch of submissions. Make sure you are subscribed to me here on YouTube so that you see when this post goes out. Put in your questions and try to get featured on next week's episode. If you guys did happen to enjoy this video, all I ask is that you do leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Really appreciate you guys being here. You're all awesome. And as always, take care and fight on.